Joel Fiesel here, your financial agent for life insurance and annuities. Today, I'm going to be doing an agent tip to do a little bit of training for agents, either new in the business or have been in the industry for quite a while. And what that is, we're going to be talking about investing in yourself and in your business. So the key word here is investing. Okay, and so this is very important. I would probably say this is what I see typically where agents fail, where agents that come into the business, they go through, they get licensed, they do everything, and then they fail to invest in their business and themselves, and then they're out. And so, think about it like this: if you are going to start up a business, you're going to go out and say a brick and mortar business, you're going to have to go out and get a location. You're going to have to buy things to stock your location, whether it be a store, office, whatever. You're going to have to get some employees to answer the phone to help you with things. You're going to have it get it paid for a sign, so that people know what you do, where you are. And then you're going to have to invest in some advertising so that people come through your door and that the phone rings so that you can pay for everything that you've invested in, because if not, how long are you going to be in business? Depends on how much money you have in your bank, because eventually it's going to run out if people aren't coming through that door. And so now, could you skip on the advertising? As far as like letting people know that you're there, well, maybe for a while, but eventually it's going to come and bite you. Because again, if people aren't coming through that door, people aren't buying what you have to offer, then you're not going to be in business very long, because you're going to have all these bills coming through that you can't pay. So always, when an agent starts, I always say you've got to invest in your business. You got to put some money aside to reinvest into your business. And so, the same thing. Can you go out there and, as an agent, can you do some social media advertising and post? And because maybe you have a big enough social media presence, you have enough followers, you might be able to, get some sales here or there. But can it be sustained? Well, I guess if you have over 1 million, followers, possibly, right? If not, you're going to have to invest some money, and so that people know about you. Whether it be advertising, whether it be leads. I would recommend getting leads, because I always say in the life insurance industry, it's nice that you know you can get some leads, you can reach out to them, kind of work when you want to. And so I that's what I like about it. And so the thing of it is that, when you start off, you're going to probably work people that let them know what you do. And then eventually you're going to run out of that. Or if you have a social media presence, you're going to let people know, maybe get a few sales here and there, then you're going to run out of it. You have to constantly be reinvesting in your business. So what I always recommend to an agent is you buy some leads, and you do it on a weekly basis. And the reason being is because, in sales, I always say that agents or people in sales have ADD, right? Where you get bored after a while if something's not working, and then you start looking somewhere else. And so one of the best ways to keep yourself, not bored, is to have new leads coming in every week. So either if you're purchasing those manually, or if you have a weekly leads coming through that's automatic thing. I do weekly automatic leads. So it basically, here they are. I get excited about that new leads because it's a new opportunity, right? And so what happens is you call those new leads for a while, and then you get a hold of them, and then there's some that you can't, and then you keep calling those, and then what happens is over time you're like, well, these people aren't answering, so you're like, gosh, I need something new. New leads come in, right? So then you do it again, and then what happens is you have a pile of leads that you haven't been able to get a hold of, and you rework through those after time. I always say that, typically if it's a fresh lead, I can usually get a hold of about 50% the first time I call through those leads. And then the next, 20 to 30%, it takes me the next, few weeks to get a hold of them. And then that remaining 20% are the ones that sometimes I never get a hold of, but I'll keep working them for a while. And then, some of them I do, right? Call at different times, call in the evening, call on a Saturday, call in the morning, call at lunchtime, different times. So that way, you're working those. But as long as you have those new leads coming in that you're paying money for, reinvesting in your business, then it's going to keep that lifeblood, of leads coming through. Because, it's like you can have all the information in the world, you can know how to do this, but if you don't have new leads coming in, it's like you're dying on that vine. And so then all of a sudden, it's like, well, shoot, I don't have this, and I'm going to, all this time I spent, it's wasted. I'm going to go do something else. So then that's where, if you got the leads coming in, right? Well, then you have to prepare yourself. So you have to invest in yourself. So now part of that's going to be studying and learning the industry, but another part of that's going to be is personally developing, okay, yourself, developing your skills, developing your knowledge, developing your resilience. And I think that resilience is a big part of this, because you're going to have ups and downs in any type of business that you do. And so if you can be working on yourself, you're going to become a better person, a better leader, obviously more knowledgeable. And there's some good books out there. I'm sure you might have heard of Think and Grow Rich. It's a great one. The guy that basically wrote the book, interviewed the top wealthiest people in the world from 1905 to basically 1925, and found the common things that they did to become wealthy. There's also another book called Cybernetics, which is pretty awesome. Really has to deal with our mind and how we think, and what we think of ourselves and how that projects what people see in us. And so I think it's really amazing, working on yourself. And then there's even, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's probably a good one in what we do. So those are some good books. And so continue. I mean, there's people that you can follow too, on YouTube, like Anthony Robbins. I'm a huge fan of. There's several. Terry Seville Foy, which I'm really impressed with, and Bob Proctor. There's John C. Maxwell. I'm a huge fan of him too. There's a lot of them. So yeah, again, investing in your business, investing in yourself, and those are things that go hand in hand. You need to continue to do that if you're going to stay in this business long term. And if you want to be successful in this business, then you have to do the things that make you successful. Otherwise, you're just wasting a period of time that you're learning nothing. So, with that being said, I know if you follow these tips, it will help you to be successful. But I always say the key ingredient is you, and your reason why that you're doing this, what you want to get out of it. And if you're getting in this and you're not want to be in this long term, you're probably not going to be in it that long, right? But if you're getting to this, you say, you know what, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to do what it takes to be successful, because I want to have this type of opportunity for myself and my family to work from home, to work the hours that I want to work. This is a great industry to do that in. So with that being said, over and out until we talk next. I know that you can do it. I wish you the most success. All right, bye-bye for now.